We Jews live with one foot planted in the secular calendar and our other foot embedded within the cycle of the Jewish year, its months, its festivals, its Shabbatot. Sometimes we're more aware of the Gregorian year that dictates when we must file our tax returns, go back to school or college, or when the rest of the world is celebrating their festivals at various times of the year. At other times, we're drawn into the cycle of our Sabbaths or the festivals as they come around. The anticipations surrounding those festivals arouse various feelings of excitement or apprehension, helping us to prepare for freedom from slavery at Pesach, the illumination of darkness at Hanukkah, and the themes of penitence and forgiveness at Yom Kippur. At this time of the year, as summer draws lazily to an end, we must awaken to the significance of the Yamim Noraim, the days of awe, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and the whole season of repentance. They are still over a month away, but are preceded by the Hebrew month of Elul, which begins with the appearance of a new moon next Tuesday night. This is the month when we are required to begin a process of introspection and preparation, seeking out those we have wronged to ask forgiveness. Psalm 27 is recited daily, and prayers known as slichot, asking God for forgiveness, are also recited. Communities hold their own slichot services on the Saturday night before Rosh Hashanah, but individual prayer and reflection can help us in this rather tricky journey towards these monumental festivals that demand so much from us spiritually. The first of Elul, first day of the month of Elul, is curiously designated Rosh Hashanah LaBehemot, the new year for animals. Just as we have a new year for trees in the early spring, so our sages selected Rosh Chodesh Elul, the first day of the month of Elul, as the new year for the tithe of cattle. In ancient times, this was when 1/10 of the number of animals was set aside for the purpose of temple sacrifices. Once the temple was destroyed, the practice ceased and the designation was forgotten. But in recent times, the suggestion has been made that a day that marked the beginning of a new tax year for animal sacrifices should become the new year for animals, a day that focuses on the creatures of our planet, their preservation and care. Here's an extract from an article by Aharon Varadi, who together with Richard Schwartz apparently first suggested reinterpreting this ancient ritual to celebrate the animal kingdom. What better way is there to begin a month dedicated to humbling ourselves and repairing our relationship than by reflecting first on our relationship with behemah, the domesticated animals which depend on us for their care and sustenance. Varadi lists the kinds of animals historically bred by humans, both kosher and non-kosher: cats, dogs, goats, pigs, chickens, llamas, among others. And he continues, if we can imagine, empathize, and understand the dependency of behemah in our care, how much better can we realize our relationship with the Blessed Holy One and the infinite chain of interdependencies, uniting all living relationships in reflection of this oneness. The New Year's Day for animals is a challenge to remind and discover what our responsibilities are to the animals who depend on us for their welfare. It's the day to reflect on our immediate or mediated relationships with domesticated animals, recognize our personal responsibilities to them individually and as part of a distinct and holy people, and repair our relationships to the best of our ability. I grew up with a dog in our household and was usually the child that took him for walks, brushed him, and was sent out to search for him when he ran away, which was rather too frequently. As a teenager, I worried that something had happened to him, so like an anxious parent, was incredibly cross with him when he reappeared utterly bedraggled and filthy. Goodness knows where he had been. But in my adult life, when my children were young, we never had more than a goldfish and gerbil. In recent weeks, however, I have acquired a furry house guest called Zorro. She's my son's little black cat with green eyes, and since she has come to stay, not permanently, I believe, but I am beginning to wonder, I've been able to observe her at close quarters. She is very beautiful, petite, with a little black head and delicate paws and shiny black fur. She's both independent, taking herself for little wanders round the garden, and also somewhat needy. She speaks to me in her own language, and I try to understand what she's telling me. At the end of the day, I understand that she needs food and attention to her needs, but also quite a lot of love and creaturely connection. And so in that strange way, because of her desire for connection, my own sense of empathy, kindness, and love are aroused. And in just a few weeks, we've created a strong affection for each other, or so I like to think. I'm not sure what she thinks. And I think also, when I begin to think about animals, there's also something deeply redemptive about being in the presence of animals, and we see it in the Torah. The serpent, in one sense, rescues the first human beings' imprisonment in the Garden of Eden and ensures they're sent out into the world. A dove indicates to Noah when the waters of the flood have begun to abate. The ram at Mount Moriah is found just in time to save Isaac from being sacrificed by his father. Bilam's talking donkey enables him to see the angel of God and stop him from cursing the Israelites. A lamb that leads Moses into the furthest reaches of the wilderness brings him to the burning bush and the call from God to set free the Israelite slaves. And it's a fish that rescues the prophet Jonah by swallowing him whole and then depositing him back on dry land. By coincidence, this week's Torah portion, Re'eh, coincides with the announcement of the new month of Elul and the new year for animals. And one chapter of this Torah portion is devoted to the dietary laws, the list of animals that are permitted to be eaten and those that are forbidden as well as the verse, Lo tevashel gedi v'chelev imo, you shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk, interpreted in the Talmud to mean that no dairy or meat products should be eaten at the same meal. How we are with animals who are part of the natural world helps us to determine how we are with our fellow human beings. Our care for animals, our attentiveness to their needs, our restraint from causing suffering, our willingness to connect with them, albeit on their terms, our love and appreciation of the companionship and warmth they bring into our lives, can, I believe, help us as we embark on our journeys of repentance through this month of Elul. And if we don't have a pet at home, then simply being aware of the natural world around us, listening to birdsong, or perhaps even borrowing a dog or a cat, a budgie or a hamster for a few weeks, will open up that pathway to a world redeemed.